Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about something that I think affects a lot of us. In a world with billions of people and, endless ways to connect online, how is it that so many of us feel, well, profoundly alone? We're going to explore this modern epidemic of loneliness, not just what it is, but the cultural forces that are driving it, and most importantly, the real concrete steps we can all take to find our way back to each other. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to try to get our heads around the sheer scale of this loneliness epidemic. Then, we'll peel back the layers on a really powerful cultural idea, this myth of independence, that might actually be pushing us apart. From there, we'll look at the real-world costs of being so isolated, before shifting to the most important part, the solutions, a clear path forward. All right, first up, the loneliness epidemic. Before we can even start talking about how to fix it, we really need to understand the reality of this modern crisis. And trust me, the data is pretty eye-opening. Let's just start with a stat that is, honestly, it's staggering. 3 out of every 4 members of Gen Z say they feel isolated. This isn't just an issue for, the elderly anymore. This is a full-blown crisis, and it's hitting the youngest generation of adults in our society really hard. And this trend isn't just about young people. Just look at this. Since 1990, the number of men who report having 0 close friends has jumped 5 times over. That's a 5-fold increase. This really points to a deeper kind of structural shift in how male friendships are even being formed and kept alive over time. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures that shift from, abstract numbers to real lived experience. The whole idea of a neighborhood as an expansive family, it just feels so distant for so many of us now, doesn't it? We've become more atomized. We're living physically closer than ever in cities, yet somehow feeling more socially distant. So you have to ask, what is driving this disconnection? To really get to the bottom of it, we need to look deeper than just technology or our busy modern lifestyles. We've got to examine the very stories our culture tells us about who we're supposed to be. So there's this key concept called social atomism. It sounds a little academic, I know, but the idea is pretty simple. It's the belief that society is just a bunch of self-interested individuals, kind of like separate atoms bouncing around. This worldview tells us our main job is to look out for number one, and that at the end of the day, we're fundamentally on our own. But then you get a quote like this, which offers such a powerful counter-narrative. It's a great reminder that there's really no such thing as a self-made person. Every single personal achievement is actually a story of communal support, of resources we inherited, and all of the unseen labor of other people. So this leaves us with this fundamental conflict, right? We're constantly being sold this myth of the rugged individualist, that success is a solo journey. But our human reality is one of deep, deep interconnection. The truth is, we aren't self-made, we are co-created, and we have a shared responsibility for each other's well-being. So, what happens when we live with this huge gap between the myth and the reality? Well, the consequences, the costs, are staggering, and they show up everywhere, from our offices to our personal health. This quote highlights a uniquely modern kind of isolation. I mean, the flexibility of remote work is great, but it often comes with these blurred boundaries and this constant pressure to be on. That guilt you feel for ignoring a late-night message, that creates a whole new kind of stress that can leave us feeling disconnected, even from our own free time. And the costs go way beyond just individual feelings. We're talking about a genuine public health crisis here, with really clear links to depression and anxiety. But it also corrodes the very foundation of our society by weakening social trust and making our communities way less resilient when they face challenges. But listen, this isn't a story of doom and gloom, not at all. The most important thing to take away from this is that we are not powerless. Connection is both the skill that we can learn and a structure we can consciously choose to build. So let's explore that path forward. A really critical piece of the solution lies in this concept of third places. These are the informal gathering spots outside of our homes, the first place, and our workplaces, the second place. Think coffee shops, libraries, public parks. They are absolutely essential because they are the breeding ground for all those spontaneous, low-stakes interactions that build a true sense of community. So what this means is that we can literally design our communities to fight loneliness. When we start treating parks as essential infrastructure and we intentionally support our local coffee shops and libraries, we create an environment where community isn't just some happy accident. It becomes the default. Now, let's zoom in from that big community level right down to our personal relationships. Because just like our cities, healthy relationships don't just happen by themselves. They require intentional design. That means clear communication, making dedicated time for intimacy, and just checking in regularly to maintain that delicate balance between our need for independence and our need for connection.
And finally, on an individual level, we can adopt really simple practices that actively build a mindset of connection. Something as simple as gratitude shifts our focus from what's missing to what's already there. Generosity is such a powerful antidote to feeling alone because it reminds us we have value to give. And we can even adopt these powerful traditions like the Okinawan Moai, which is basically creating a dedicated support group for life. How cool is that?
Ultimately, this is the core shift we all need to make. The solution to loneliness isn't to erase our individuality, but to move from this fragile sense of independence to a really resilient, powerful state of interdependence. It's about recognizing that we're not just single threads, but we're all part of this vibrant, interconnected web.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. We've seen that connection is built through intentional acts, big and small. So what is one single connection in your life, with a friend, a family member, a neighbor, that you can choose to strengthen today? Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it and learned something and want to share your own opinion or maybe your experience, you can comment down below. I would love to see your thoughts and experiences. Subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified when I upload more videos like that. Have a good day. Bye.